Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to my morning report analysis videos on Friday 28th of September with me, Rich Paramarket Analyst at Hantec Markets. We've got a relatively stronger dollar to an extent today, and that strength is mainly sort of coming through really against the euro and sterling, because if you look at the other major pairs, you've got the dollar, which is sort of underperforming really against the Canadian dollar and also the Aussie dollar as well. Dollar yen mildly higher, but mainly we're seeing the strength coming through euro and sterling. Now, we've just had out the UK growth data revision, the final reading of GDP, and it came in line with expectations on the quarterly data, but there was a slight downward slip in the year-on-year data to 1.2%. But also you had a worsening current account deficit as well. So it's hit sterling to a degree, and that sterling, I'll talk about it in the chart appraisals, but sterling 30.55 is a key level to watch out for there. But generally speaking, what we are seeing is this dollar, which has broken this downtrend phase as the market has pushed higher quite strongly yesterday and sort of maintained that gain today. Now, you'd expect that to be coming with really strong treasury yields, but we're not seeing that. 10-year yield slightly lower, and the 2-year yield as well. So we're not really seeing those treasury yields pushing on. It seems as though this is sort of still a bit of a hangover from this Italian budget situation that we saw hitting the markets yesterday. Now, in terms of equities, we've seen a bit of a slippage again early doors today. The DAX underperforming once more. FTSE hanging pretty much as it did yesterday. But it's interesting that we've seen this just drop away on the DAX. You saw S&P 500 closing mildly high yesterday, and it's sort of a consolidation, although on the futures, but slightly lower than where we were earlier on, which is why I think the DAX is a bit lower. But generally speaking, there's not a great deal of direction other than that slight underperformance of the Eurozone equities today. Gold is holding up a touch. 1183 was a key level to watch out for. I'll talk about that again on the charts, and it's sort of back above that a touch, but yeah, nothing too decisive there quite yet. But in terms of the oil price, again, sort of consolidating really, as it has done pretty much throughout the week, other than that to move down on Wednesday and then subsequent rebound. So I haven't seen too much traction on the oil price. So the main sort of focus, I think, is coming through the dollar. Now, we've got the inflation data for the Eurozone this morning. The flash Eurozone data for September comes in at 10 o'clock. Now, that is going to be looked at. So I just undo that. That will be looked at certainly because we had the German inflation data yesterday, which came in higher than expected at 2.3% as opposed to 2% expected. So there has been a slight upward revision in the forecasts I've noticed in this sort of day or so to 2.1% on the headline, 1.1% on the core. Now, are we going to see Eurozone inflation surprise to the upside? We could see the euro climbing on the back of that if that were to be seen. Then we've got the US core PCE in the afternoon. Core PCE is expected to stay at 2%. And then the revision of the final of the Michigan sentiment at 3 o'clock expected to remain unrevised at 100.8 from the flash reading or the prelim reading, which was 100.8. Now, my chart today is Aussie dollar. Now, what we have seen is yesterday with that US dollar gaining strongly, the Aussie dollar has pulled below a pivot near term. Now that pivot came in at 72.35, and it closed decisively below that. So that sort of changes the outlook. But looking and sort of unwinding this it's basically been in a downtrend, a key downtrend throughout the year on the Aussie dollar, and sort of pulling back away from that downtrend in conjunction with momentum indicators which are turning lower. This could now be a signal that the Aussie dollar is going to come under renewed weakness again. Let's see how the market now fares at the underside of that pivot at 72.35. If it fails to get back above that, and you could start to see the market sort of gaining a bit of downside momentum and starting to sort of pull back towards that 71.40 or even 70.85 area, that key low. So this is a key moment for this little sort of phase for the Aussie dollar, whereby the market has rebounded today, but if that rebound fails and it could start to see the selling pressure ramping up. So with that in mind, I wish you good luck in your trading, and I will speak to you later.